All right. Good evening, everybody. We are back on Mussar Mondays, coming to you from the Torch Center. Those of you who are here, it's an honor and a privilege to be learning together. Those of you online, thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy. We have a meter worksheet. Does everybody have a meter worksheet? Would you like one?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay. Well, we have extra. Don't worry. But if you have a meter worksheet, I'm just going to borrow yours for a second. You have an extra one there? Can I borrow one?
You borrow. You're gonna have it. You don't need to borrow.
So, this meter worksheet, if you don't have it, those of you online, you're welcome to email me at awolbe@torchweb.org. Those of you who are here, if you want to have your own copy and print your own, you're welcome to do that. But we have a meter worksheet, and we're going to, again, try to fine-tune the definition for the trait of honor that we started last week. We're going to finish it again. We're going to finish it this week, hopefully, whatever we can. We're going to have an opportunity at the end of class to write out our notes and to introspect a little bit and, find out where we're holding in this trait. Also, we're going to have some practical work on this trait. What we want to accomplish, what tools do we currently possess that we can immediately employ to help affect a small measure of change in this trait. And then the fourth is accepting upon ourselves a concrete task that we're going to change something in our in the way we behave with this trait. Okay, we're going to let the example of what we've done in past traits was, for example, we discussed, if we're talking about gratitude, or is to take some time every day to appreciate what we have, or if we discussed about giving thanks is to acknowledge someone. If it's honor, we can try to find a way to carry ourselves in an honorable way. But honor also has another element to it, which is honoring other people appropriately. Now, I want to start off today with a story in the Talmud. The story in the Talmud goes as follows. There was the Talmud talks about honoring your father and mother, and the question was asked, where do we know the proper way to honor our father and mother? It says, Kavod et avicha ve'et imecha, honor your father and mother. Where do we know how to do that properly? Like, give us an example. So the Talmud says, where we can find the example? Anybody know where? From Dama. Anybody know who Dama is? Dama ben Natina. Who's Dama ben Natina? This was a non-Jew. A non-Jew. What are we going to learn from a non-Jew? Listen to the story. Okay. In the temple, we know that the Kohen would wear a very special vestments, very special garments. One of them was the breastplate, the choshen. And the breastplate had 12 stones. Right? You're like this. And in our Breakneck Through the Bible class, we've gone through those 12 stones. In our Torah crash course, we've given out the exact names of each of those stones. But they had one stone that they were still looking for, that they needed to be exactly at a certain size, certain measurement, and a certain quality. So they asked around all the jewelers. They said, this guy, Netina, he has it. So they go to his house, non-Jewish jeweler, and they knock on his door. His son opens the door. And they say, listen, we're coming from the temple, right? From the Jewish, the Jewish precinct of holiness. And we heard that you have this specific gem that we're looking for. So he said, indeed we have that stone. They said, okay, how much do you want for it? He said, I want, I think it was, whatever, I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 100 gold coins. It was a reasonable amount. So they said, okay, want to take a look at it, and we have the money for you. So he goes, and he comes back a minute later. He says, I'm sorry, I can't get the key to the safe because my father's sleeping. And my father has the key to the safe under his pillow. So they thought, oh, come on, he's coming up with such a story, right? It must be he just wants more money. So they said, how about we'll give you 150 gold coins, right? So he says, no, I'm not kidding you. My father is sleeping on the key to the safe, and I can't wake him up. They said, okay, 200 gold coins, 300 gold coins, 400 gold coins. He says, I'm sorry, you can offer me all the money in the world. I cannot get you the key. My father is sleeping on top of the pillow that he has the key beneath it. So they left, and they eventually got that stone from someone else. Now let me ask you a question. They say from here we learn the how to honor your father and mother. Now let me ask any of you a question, okay? Your son opens the door. You're a I don't know, any profession you can think of, okay? You're a car dealer. Okay, a car dealer. You have some businessmen knock on your door. Not a car dealer, just a regular Joe Schmo. Okay, you're a regular person. You have someone knock on your door, and a few Chinese, Japanese businessmen, whatever, Asian, and they knock on the door, and your son opens the door, and they say, listen, our car broke down. We're about to head downtown to sign a multi-billion-dollar deal. And our car broke down. This is pre-Uber, right? And we need to borrow your car. Okay? We will pay $100,000 to borrow your car just so that we can be on time for that meeting to close the deal. We don't want to lose the deal. And your child says, my dad has the key to his car in his room. No. Not taking the offer, right? So they up it to $200,000 for your car for 4 hours, right? And he still says no. $400,000. Imagine this, a real life story, right? $400,000 to borrow your car. You wake up, and your son says, Dad, you're going to be so proud of me. Can you imagine? I love you so much. I want to honor you. I turned away a $400,000 deal just not to wake you up. Right? What would most of us do? Yeah, you're a shlamil. You're a shlamazel. What's wrong with you? How can you, right? Wake me. Something, right? You're kidding? And this is where our sages say we learn how to honor your father and mother from Dama ben Natina, because he didn't wake up his father for a $400,000 deal for a stone that was worth 100. He would have made a good profit on the 100 as well. How's that the lesson? So our sages tell us, like most mitzvahs, it's very, very subjective. It goes by the individual. Honor is not something where we have a blanket value of honor. Honor is very individual. To one person, honor is that nobody sits in their seat. For another person, honor, nobody parks their car in his spot. For another person, honor is that when they get to the barbershop, they don't have to wait. Every person has a different mishagas, or a different nonsense about what honor is to them. Yeah. Right? Everyone has their quirky things. Yeah. And it's common with young married couples that there's a lot of frustration in that the spouse doesn't understand the sensitivity or what they perceive as honor being treated to them. Why? Because they've seen their mother treat their father a certain way, and to them that's the norm, that's the standard. And here this new woman doesn't respect me because my mother always did that for my father. Well, that's not where she comes from, so she doesn't know. So it's very subjective. It's by the individual. And it's the most important element of honor. It's the most important element, really, of any interpersonal relationship, is that we need to know the individual. We can't say, listen, this is the way I treat people, and take it or leave it. Well, for this person, they may need a little bit of an adjustment. They need a different type of attention. This is what I'm ready to offer. Well, that may not be You understand? So it's very, very subjective, and you have to be very, very careful. And by the way, the Talmud continues and says, so how is he rewarded? How is this Dama ben Netina rewarded? Right? Here he was ready to give up for good reason, just to honor his father and mother. He was ready to give up on 400 gold coins. How was he paid back? Because of course, no good deed goes unrewarded. So the Talmud says that a few years later they needed a red heifer, and they had the red heifer, and they got the 400 gold coins for that red heifer. So eventually they did get their reward. But we see from here an amazing, amazing display of Dama understood that his father didn't want to be woken up for anything. And that was honor for his father. Now for us, that may not be the case. But for his father, that was the case. So it's very important that when we are talking about honor, we have to understand that honor is also subjective, not only to the individual, it's also subjective to the culture. For example, in certain countries, when you give a thumbs up, it's not exactly a very complimentary form of communication, right? They can see it as in some places they can see it as a derogatory statement, right? What did you do? Well, I was just saying thumbs up. What? They beat you, right? So you have to know where you are as well. So every person, every culture has different ways of understanding and perceiving honor. I'll tell you that myself. I was a director in a summer camp in the former Soviet Union, and the mayor of the town came to visit me. Now I was there, but there was one person who was with me who actually lived in the former Soviet Union. I didn't live there. Right? He spoke the language fluently. I spoke it almost fluently. And he comes in, the mayor comes in, he realizes, suddenly there's 300 Jews in town. They're spending money there. They're going to the shops. He wanted to come out and a nice gesture. So he comes out. We have a Russian in the house. You can tell me what would be the expected norm in Russia, right? He comes out and he pulls out a vodka, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know about you people here, but 12 o'clock in the afternoon in the U.S., we're not typically drinking a shot of vodka, right? How would he take it?
It's an insult.
It's an insult. It's disrespectful, right? That's not the way we operate. We don't operate. It's in my car.
Okay, so forget.
You can take it. It's not the way we operate in the U.S., but you have to understand the norms there. And I had to excuse myself because I have to run a camp, right? I couldn't be busy, and it was a Friday afternoon. You have a Shabbos in a few hours, and I'm going to come in there drunk because I'm a New York boy who's never drank vodka, at the age of 19. So at least at that quantity, at that time of day. So either way, it was a learning lesson when my working partner told me, you realize I had to spend the next 3 hours convincing him you were not insulting him. I'm like, what? Insulting him? How did he get that from me saying I have children, I need to take, right? It's like he doesn't understand I'm going to be drunk. I mean, like, they're coming from a different culture, right? Right? We understand that when we see, I'll give you an example of honor that's commanded. It's commanded that children do not sit in their parents' seat. And if you don't have a assigned seat in your home, do your children a favor and create one. Because it's a great opportunity for your children to perform the great mitzvah of honoring your father and mother. My children, my 3-year-old son, every morning sits down for cereal. I give him cereal almost every morning before I go to synagogue. And many, many mornings, if he's interested in sitting in my seat, he'll say, Abba, can I sit in your seat? And I'll tell him, absolutely, thank you for asking. But he has to understand that there is, although I'm very close with my children, but we're not peers in the sense that you have to understand there has to be a separation of honor. There has to be that separation. It's a healthy thing, and it's the way God wants it to be. I am sometimes dismayed when I see children calling their parents by their first name.
Oh, yeah.
There is no benefit that will ever come out of that. They're not your friend. They're your parent. Right? No matter what culture, right? There should be a certain respect, a certain honor that's displayed to our elders. So I figured I wanted to start with that story because we have to understand that honor is a very, very, very subjective trait. It's subjective to the people we're bestowing honor upon, and it's subjective to us when we're talking about, and one of the things we mentioned last week is to carry yourself with dignity. Then it also is subjective because there are certain norms. There are norms in different places. Right? We all understand that. Imagine you walk into you go to Manhattan, you go to Washington D.C. Right? Go to Washington D.C. and you go and you see your state representative. Right? You're going on an APAC or whatever organization you're going with, and you're going to rile them up and tell them, yeah, we're with you and we want you to do this, we want you to do that. Great. You walk into their office and you see they're sitting there in sandals and a t-shirt. You're like, what? This is my state representative, right? How would you feel? Right? It would be something would be odd. Why would something be odd? Because you expect that there should be a certain dignity. They just actually, a few years ago, they made a policy that in the Knesset, the members of Knesset need to wear jackets. They used to come in a shirt, no tie, no jacket, nothing, right? They wanted there to be a certain, just a self-dignity for yourself. You're representing people, you're representing voters, you're representing a party. Carry yourself with the dignity. Right? All right, so the two different areas. One is honoring other people, and one is having a self-respect for yourself. Okay, so if we keep searching for our self-respect, and we're busy only with respecting ourselves and my own honor, because we mentioned at the end of class last week that someone who runs after honor runs away from them. So honor has to be from within. It's not something that we go out and demand from other people. There are people who they have one of the amazing traits that my grandfather possessed. Excuse me for drinking in the middle. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling so well. So. And for those of you online, I made the blessing earlier. So sorry you missed the blessing. But many rabbis, prominent rabbis, have guards, not real guards, but they have many barriers of protection before anybody off the street can just come knock on their door and get into their house and ask for a blessing or whatever it is. There are many. It's not all rabbis. It's a few. My grandfather didn't have anyone. No gatekeepers. You knocked on the door, either he opened, or my grandmother opened, or I opened, or one of my other cousins opened. It wasn't like this whole gatekeeper thing, and it's like, you have to know somebody who knows somebody to get you in. You just went to his house, you knocked on the door, and he said, I need to come speak to the rabbi, right? And he either told you, I have hours at 9 o'clock, you can come to my house, or if he had a few minutes at the time, he would talk to you then, right? But there was no such thing that, all the time people would knock on the door with a little boy, he's about to be bar mitzvah, they want a blessing. They get a blessing from the rabbi, right? My grandfather would give him a blessing. Oh, you should, My grandfather would always ask them, "What do you want to be a Torah scholar? Like, do you want to? I don't want to bless you with something you don't want, right?" So all right, so if someone is always searching for honor, they always want to have all these, they need to have all of the people bowing down to them, it's going to run away from you. But if a person runs away from honor, honor runs after you. Right? The people who need the plaques, and the people who need the titles, and the people need the recognition from synagogue. You didn't announce my name. Why didn't you announce my name? Now I'm never going to volunteer again, right? So those types of people, they're only doing it for the honor. The honor runs away from them. It doesn't stick to such a person. Okay, many times because they're not, in a sense, they may not be honorable. Okay, so we won't be able to honor others if we're constantly busy searching for our own self-worth, our own self-honor. We think we are the center of the world and all honor is ours. We need to learn how to honor other people, how to treat other people with dignity, and how to show other people the proper and due respect that's coming to them. One who eats in the market, we said, is compared to a dog and unworthy of being a witness giving testimony in court. Why? Because if you don't have enough self-worth for yourself, there's no way that you'll have self-worth for others. All right? We spoke about this in greater detail last week. Doesn't mean again that you're a total lowlife. It just means that you're lacking a self-respect, you're lacking a self-worth, a sensitivity is missing. That's what it means, right? David, you're not comfortable with this.
Well, lots of people have inferiority complexes. So what do you do for them?
You mean that's why they want to be honored, right? They're looking for honor?
No, I mean, some people run away from themselves a lot.
Okay,
you have to love yourself in order.
That's true. So we established at the beginning of our Mussar journey that we're talking about we have to be at a balance. We have to understand our qualities. We have to understand our flaws. Right? We're talking about, look, if someone has a deficiency, at least they have to know their deficiency. Right?
I'm not disagreeing with you there, but I know a lot of people that don't love their own characters.
That's a problem. That's a problem, and that's something that hopefully they can repair over the lifetime. It's an important thing.
It would take a lifetime to repair it, though.
It can take a lifetime. Yes.
Well, I don't think it's that you have to love yourself in order to say love other people. I think you have to be able to separate yourself from others. You have to just have a certain amount of respect for yourself. What's going on?
The Shabbos table impact right there. There's a story I want to read to everyone. In the middle of the shelf. Up one, in the middle. Right, to the right. Right. Stop, there we go. Perfect. Yes, I'm sorry, so what were you saying?
So I think it's important to have,
Thank you so much.
Self-autonomy. That you don't have to love yourself, you just have to feel like you're worthwhile.
100%. 100%. So, right, we discussed when we discussed gratitude, when we discussed happiness, we discussed that we need to internalize the idea of our own self-worth before we can give gratitude. It means we have to recognize that we're really incredible human beings. We really are incredible beings.
Well, I would go back to Hillel's statement: "If I'm not for myself, who will be
Then
for me?"
exactly.
And if I'm only for myself.
And what am I? Right?
But after you are for yourself,
What?
then you can be for other people.
100%. A person, again, but sometimes, and I mentioned this from my own personal experience, sometimes by learning to compliment other people, by learning to show other people graciousness, that builds your character tremendously. Okay? I want to read you a story I saw today, which I think will help us understand what it means to change a person, okay? The following story was recorded in the town journal in the city of Lublin about 300 years ago. Okay? A woman in the town of Lublin was dying, and her husband swore that he would not remarry. About a year after she passed away, he decided he did want to remarry. He went to the great halachic authority, the Marshal, and asked him what to do. The Marshal released him from his oath because by swearing not to remarry, he was preventing himself from fulfilling the mitzvah of marriage, and an oath to neglect the mitzvah is not valid. A woman was suggested as a match, and the two got married. Shortly after the marriage, the man died. His new wife was upset with the Marshal, with the great sage, because she felt her husband's death was a punishment for breaking his oath. She said that had she known in advance he'd be punished, she would never have married him. The Marshal felt terrible. Okay? He decided there was only one thing he can do. Right? He wrote a responsa explaining why his position was halachically correct. Right? In great detail. He then went to the cemetery and placed the responsa in the man's grave. Moments after placing the sacred writing in the grave, the man came back to life. The obvious next step was that the couple married once again. Right? A few days after they did, the wife came to the Marshal with another complaint. I don't care for him like I did before he died. Right? Before he died, I had feelings for him. But now, I don't know why. I don't have a feeling for him. Maybe it's just knowing that he was once dead. I don't know. I only know my feelings are not the same. Okay, this is recorded in the city of Lublin journal. Okay? Once again, the Marshal decided there was only one thing to do. He prayed with great intensity that her feelings should change. Indeed, a few days later, she returned to tell him that all was well. Upon hearing about this incident, the scholars of the generation remarked that the second miracle was greater than the first. The second miracle, why? Because it's easier to bring the dead to life than to change a heart.
Thought you were going to say that to change a woman's mind.
Well, it's all human beings' hearts, right? It's much easier to bring someone from the dead than to change one trait, to change a person's heart. It is so difficult. We get so locked up in our feelings. We get so locked up in our perceptions. We get locked up in our political views. This is the way I am, and that's it.
Yeah.
And nothing's going to be adjusted.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something, right?
When was that?
300 years ago.
So you could bring back the dead 300 years ago?
I don't know. Go ask the people in the city of Lublin.
Story.
It's a story told about the Marshal. Look, the Marshal was an unbelievable Torah sage. I mean, you're talking about, these were great people. This is 50 years before the Vilna Gaon lived, right? The Vilna Gaon was. I mean, you're talking about unbelievable. Either way, I think it's enough. Even if the story is not true, it's enough to teach us that to change one trait, the Rabbi Yisrael Salanta said, it's easier to complete the entire Talmud. You see over here the beautiful art scroll Talmud? It's easier to complete and know the entire Talmud than to change one trait. One anger to change one trait, so strong, so powerful. Very, very hard to change that one trait. Okay. It says, the Mishnah says an amazing thing. It says that a Torah scholar who has a stain on his clothes is liable of death.
Oh my God, let me get out of here.
I don't doubt that. You're not a Torah scholar.
One second.
You're okay, Dave.
Dave, you're fine. Don't worry. Your shirt is clean.
Is that why Dovine changes his shirt 3 times a day?
Yes. So the question is, let's ask the question. Really, what were the rabbis thinking? Really? That's what, really? Put to death? No, it doesn't mean we're going to stone him to death. But he's liable of death. Why? What is a Torah scholar?
Somebody to be admired, somebody who's a leader.
What does he represent?
Represents God.
He represents God. If you represent God, you don't come with a stain on your clothes. Okay? You have to understand that there has to be a certain dignity with which you carry yourself. It's not that you're just a schlemazel and you spilled your coffee on your shirt. That's not the problem. The problem is you don't respect yourself enough to clean your clothes. Yes.
I disagree because I was with my mother a couple days ago. Okay, she said, "There's a little stain on your pants." I said, "Mom, if it comes 2 or 3 stains, I'll take it to the cleaners." She really wanted me to take it to the cleaners. A little stain.
But why did it bother her?
That's a good
question.
I'll tell you why it bothered her. Because you're her son. And as being her son, you in a way represent her. Right? And if she felt, perhaps, and you can ask her this, I would love to hear her opinion. Ask her if she felt that this was a representation of her.
Yeah.
And
Probably
she
so.
wasn't comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So, you have a great mitzvah to do now. Right? So you have a free mitzvah. The free mitzvah is to go and honor your mother and go get it cleaned. And I would love to have a part in that mitzvah. Uncle Don, I will sponsor that dry cleaner bill, okay?
There's one right in the corner.
There's one right in the corner here, okay? I'm not recommending that you leave it here, right? but I'm willing to, I'm serious. It's an amazing mitzvah. Not only it's an amazing mitzvah, it's one of the 10 commandments to honor your father and mother. Again, it could be that to your mother, this is important. So that would be your special mitzvah of honoring your mother, is that your pants be clean. Right? But again, it's not because she's like, really? I can't take you any place. Your pants are always dirty. That's not the way she feels, right? But in a way, she feels like, there's a pride here. There's a family. There's, representation. And I want you to get that cleaned. All right. So, it says in Ethics of Our Fathers, it says, Yehi kvod chavercha chaviv alecha kishalach. It should be the honor of your friend. Can you give me the green one right there, please? Thank you so much. That shelf right there. The green on the right. Perfect. All right. This is an amazing book. I'm doing another infomercial here for ArtScroll books. This is the Pirkei Avot Ethics of Our Fathers Treasury, an exceptional book. On chapter 2, Mishnah 10, it says the following. Actually, over here, it comes out there someplace else. I don't know why I don't see it here. The Mishnah says that your friend's honor should be as precious to you as your own honor. Okay, for whatever reason, I'm off here. Oh, here we go. It's off by 7. Right? But your friend's honor should be as precious to you as your own. What do you mean? Your friend's honor should be as precious to you as your own. You ever wonder, sometimes people, you do something together with someone, with a friend, you both go out together, you go volunteer together, and they make sure their own name gets in the press, in the paper. So who volunteered? And they put their name in, but they don't put your name in. Look, what do you mean? I was there with you. Why didn't you put my name in? I didn't think you'd want to be mentioned. Oh, but you don't, right? It's like, you cared enough about your own honor, but not about my honor? The Mishnah says, your friend's honor, care about your friend's honor like you care about your own. Yeah.
Yeah. You said last time, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Thanks.
You used to wear an open shirt. And
Right.
Your brothers came to you and, kind of persuaded you that you should be wearing a tie.
They accosted me. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure your father wore a tie.
No.
Okay.
My grandfather did, not my father. But I didn't take it carte blanche. Oh, they said I'm going to do. That means I had to. I thought about it. I saw that they were right. I felt, you know what? I am representing people. I'm representing a community. I'm representing Torah that I'm teaching, and that would perhaps be the right thing for me to do.
Right.
Right? But it's not just, he said, I'm going to go and do it. Right? It means we have to use our intellect and see, one second, does this also fit? Because let's say in certain places they may be wearing tuxedos all day or bow ties, right? Yeah, in Houston it won't exactly fly. Right? So you have to know where you are as well. Right? There has to be a certain, it means, again, things have to make sense also. All right? So that means you have to care enough about your friend's honor like you care for your own honor. Why should they be any different? You give thanks to everybody, right? Why can't you give thanks to that person as well? You make sure you take the credit for things. Let someone else also wants to hear their name mentioned, right? This happens all the time. This happens all the time. I had someone today, I'm trying to remember where I was. Someone today who told me, right? They helped with a project, like, and then I mentioned someone's name. Like, don't mention the name. I'm like, what's the problem? They're a good person. Yeah. I ran that whole project for them. They couldn't mention my name. You know, they right? I'm happy I did it, but they couldn't mention my name. And in a way, they're right. Right? Not that they have to run after honor, but in a way, they're right. If they were so careful about their own name and taking their own credit, why weren't they careful about someone else's? Right? So when we worry about our own honor, which is even rightfully coming to us, perhaps there's someone else we can honor as well. Maybe there's someone else who I can give a good word, I can say something about someone else as well. Not only take it all for myself. Okay? We see that the students of Rabbi Akiva, they died. Why did they die? 24,000 students. So Talmud tells us, Al shelo nahagu kavod zel hazeh, because they didn't have proper respect and honor for one another. Right? So they all died. 24,000 students died from a plague. 24,000 students. Imagine. What a catastrophe. You have to have proper respect, proper honor for one another. We see that Hillel and Shammai, the Talmud says in Eruvin, it says, but whenever there's an argument between Hillel and Shammai, the halacha is like Hillel. 2 reasons. Because first, they let Shammai speak first. And second is, before they said their opinion, they reviewed and reviewed and reviewed Shammai's opinion. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're still right. Right? Let's think about it one more time. Maybe they're right again. Before we give our own opinion, maybe someone else is right. Look at the world we're living in today. It doesn't make a difference if the policy you're instituting is right or wrong. It doesn't make a difference. You're on the other side of the fence. We don't care if it's right, if it's wrong. If we did the same thing 3 months ago, it doesn't make a difference. You're from the other party. We disagree with it immediately. Right? It doesn't make a difference if it makes sense. People don't think. Maybe there is some common sense, but today we don't expect intellectual honesty from anyone, right? Especially not in politics, and it's in other areas as well. But the idea, 1 second, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm heading down the track and I'm going the wrong way. And then every person needs to think about that. We get into our opinions. We're firm about them, and we're convinced that what we think is correct. But it's not always the case. Sometimes we're wrong. But how do we get to that understanding? Maybe we have to change our path. We have to take a lesson from Hillel. Hillel said, you know what? I want to listen to their opinion first and evaluate. Maybe they're right. After they concluded that Shammai was wrong, then they gave their own opinion. Right? But that takes a big person, right, and a very, very high moral standard for someone to understand that it's more than just my opinion that counts. Right? There's a whole community. Let's listen to everyone's opinion, and then we'll give our opinion. When they reviewed, right? First they let Shammai speak first, and then they reviewed Shammai's opinion before their own, right? And then gave their own after that. The students of Rabbi Eliezer, it says, came to visit and asked for guidance for life. Right? Give us guidance. How should we succeed in life? You know what he said? Rabbi Eliezer said the following: Hizharu bikvod chaverichem. Be extremely careful with the honor of your friends. Extremely careful. That also means, by the way, what's disliked by you, don't do unto others. Right? What you don't like done to you, don't do unto others. That's also part of this whole type of, right? Have respect for someone else. If you care enough about other people, enough about other people, you'll be very, very happy in life. Right? And then it says, the Talmud continues, Ubishvil kach tizku l'chayei olam haba. And if you indeed you're very cautious about the honor of your friends, you know what the reward will be? You'll get the world to come. For that you'll get olam haba. For that you'll get the world to come. And bring you more and more cases. We see Rabbeinu Yonah says, when you honor others, you're essentially honoring yourself. You're causing them to honor you without them knowing. Who is honored? The Mishnah says, who is honored? One who honors other people. Why? When you honor someone, what you're doing is, indirectly, right? This is a known rule in sales, by the way. You know the rule in sales? Right? If you want to sell a product, give them something for free. Give them something for free. You give them something for free, they're going to feel inclined to buy from you. They have no choice, right? Because they have to reciprocate without even knowing, right? You give them, hey, take the mug. Yeah, here you go. You're a nice person. Before you know it, they'll be back. Oh, where can I sign? That's right. That's exactly it.
Singapore does that exactly.
Right? So, when you honor other people, right, you don't do it for that reason. That's true. You don't do it so that they honor you. But what will be your immediate return on investment, your immediate ROI will be, is that you will get back honor. Yes?
You can also honor someone that you disagree with. You can do it in
a dignified way, absolutely. Look, this does not mean that we become apathetic to our opinions and that we suddenly become neutral in everything. You can still have your opinion. You can still be very, very forceful on the things you believe, but give others the due respect. Yes?
But honor really starts with you.
100%.
I mean, that you gotta, and that's about, you gotta feel good about yourself.
That's right. What David said is 100% right.
Yeah.
If you don't feel good about yourself, there's no way you can make someone else feel good about themselves.
Okay. And
Right.
also reaching out is a very important factor.
That's right.
Even if you don't know somebody.
It's an amazing thing how parents can build their children or destroy their children.
Yeah.
All by this one thing. By either giving them a sense of worth, a sense of value, giving them love and appreciation and physical contact, ensuring that they feel secure with their parents, right? Someone who feels secure doesn't have a worry of giving that compliment, right? It's the insecurity that we're like, if I compliment them, then, they may see it as a sign of weakness, that it's something that they have that I don't have. It's like people start working and making all these calculations, what's that? They play mind games with themselves. Any other questions before we continue?
Well, that's very similar to I don't know who it was that's a billionaire, but he says every time he went into a deal, he would go in there with a secret weapon, which is he would have in his mind that he's going in there with just his shorts on. And they can't see that, but that gives him the extra edge to make the deal, because in his mind, he's already calm, because he's walking in with a pair of shorts and not in the suit.
I hear that. I'm not exactly understanding the strategy, but I appreciate it.
I thought maybe I was the only one who didn't understand.
The strategy is that you don't get upset, and then
you have more negotiating power.
Yeah.
I hear. A convert once asked Hillel. He said, "What is the single principle that the whole Torah stands on?" What did he say? What is disliked to you, like we just mentioned earlier, don't do unto others. It's Shabbat 31a. No, you don't have to bring it, okay? Everything is included in this. Everything else is commentary. If you have the proper respect for someone else, right? You know what you don't like, don't do that to someone else. And that's the same exact thing. By the way, how does that relate to everything in the Torah? Because if you think of yourself and God, What I don't like, I shouldn't do to God. I don't like when people disrespect me, so don't disrespect God. I don't like when people take me for granted, so I won't take God for granted. I don't like, right? You think of all of those comparisons, right? Oh, suddenly that's the one principle that will help us both in interpersonal relationships and our relationship with God.
Which is really very important. Relationship between people and relationship between you and God.
Exactly, because there is this notion that people think that as long as I'm holy, right, I can do whatever I want to other people, right? And that's a terrible, terrible thing. If you don't treat people with proper dignity, if you don't treat people with the due love that's coming to them, that's a very, very terrible thing. You know, it's maybe I hope I don't get stoned to death from these same people. But you know, there are certain communities in Jerusalem where if people walk in there and they're not dressed exactly modestly, they'll literally, I've seen this with my own eyes, they'll throw watermelons at them, they'll you have to, if you're not just modestly enough, right? I understand you want to be very fervent in your Judaism. That's great. That's lovely.
Yeah.
But is that the way you need to treat other human beings?
It's not.
Is that the way you need to really you have to throw tomatoes? And I think that's repulsive. I don't think that God loves that. I really don't. There has to be a way of pleasant way that someone can either come and talk to them and explain to them in a loving way, in a caring way. But just because I don't want to see this, I start stoning people and I start throwing rocks. What type of repulsive behavior is this? Where do we see this in the Torah?
Yeah.
On the contrary, it says the way of the Torah is a way of pleasant. The way of the Torah is a pleasant way, and people who represent the Torah should act in a way that's pleasant as well, and talk in a way that's pleasant as well. Yes.
How do these Orthodox people at the wall have the audacity to throw things at the women at the wall that are dominating the way they want to do it?
Look, I'm not there, but I can guarantee you that if I was there, I wouldn't throw stones, right? And who says they're Orthodox? Is that the Torah way? I don't think it's the Torah way. I don't think it's the right way for people to start stoning. I think you if you don't like something, just like if I don't like, if someone comes here and starts blaring their music outside, right? Do I like it? I don't like it. So I start stoning them, right? You don't like it. You're mature adults. You have a conversation. You talk about it. You express. You can even beg. You can cry. You can ask. But to throw stones? I mean, where do we get this behavior from? We don't get this from the Torah.
Because the temples to be destroyed.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying I agree with. Obviously, I don't want to get involved in that conversation, right? Of those women, but right or those people. But what I could tell you is that throwing stones is not the way of the Torah. That's 100%.
Except for death.
That's someone who's for a punishment,
You can stone.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. But even then, how many times did that happen?
I don't
Every 70 years.
Right, once in 70 years, right? So it's not something which has happened every day. It was one case out of, either way, we have to be very, very careful not to do unto others what we don't like done to ourselves. We don't like when we're not judged properly. So why do we judge other people improperly without knowing all the facts? And even when you know the facts, you don't know all the facts. Right? It's something that it really deserves a lot of thought. How do we treat other people? Do we treat other people the way we want to be treated? And think about it. Get into their shoes and walk in their shoes for 5 minutes and see whether or not. There's a story that's told that people would, all these kvetchers, all the people who are complaining about how miserable their life is, they came to one room and everyone put their basket in the middle. And, they'll take the neighbor's basket. But once they looked at the other neighbor's basket, what they had inside, they took their own back, right? Right? Everyone has their own baggage, right? You don't know what the other person's going through, right? So why are you judging them on your terms? Judge them on their terms. You don't know their terms, so what are you judging them to begin with, right? That's the problem. The problem is that we assume that everyone is at neutral territory. That may not be the case. Someone may have grown up in an abusive home, And it's more difficult for them to be gracious, or to be kind, or to be loving. You have to take everything into consideration, right? Who are we to know someone else's situation? And we go judging people, right? So part of honor, proper honor, is to ensure that we treat others the way we want to be treated. We want to be treated fairly. We want to be treated with dignity. We want to be treated with respect. We want to be treated with patience. Let's treat other people with patience. Okay? It says by... it says about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan, the great sage Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who my brother in his class dedicated an entire hour to the history, to the life of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. You can find it on YouTube, on Facebook, and on iTunes in podcast in the Jewish History Channel. What's that?
What night?
That is Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. As part of Torch University, which is right here in this room.
Is there a Torch website? Like that just has videos?
There is a Torch website that has videos. That's correct.
Okay, cool.
It's called torchvideos.com. And today, it's not even fully populated yet, not even at all populated, but we do have a brand new website that's being launched, which is jewishpodcast.org. jewishpodcast.org. You'll be able to find all of the Torch classes, hopefully very, very soon. jewishpodcast.org. All of our classes will be posted there as well. So the audios, once we're done with the class, you'll be able to find it there. And hopefully it'll be tremendous. Right now, my brother alone, he's just doing his thing, his recordings of his classes on RabbiWolbe.com. He stole the name. No, it's fine. He can have it. But he has, in the month of January, 10,000 downloads of his class.
Number one.
Yep.
Number one on iTunes, on the category of Judaism. That's pretty impressive. So if he can do it himself, imagine with him and Rabbi Johnny and Rabbi Cohen and myself, and maybe Devorah Cohen as well, and maybe Zahava for her classes. We can have all of Torch up there. We're about to launch this, so hopefully it's going to be very, very exciting. So even those who are not in the class or who don't have, yes, you heard us say iTunes. Yes, someone online was asking that. Yeah, so we are on iTunes, and we're going to be more on iTunes soon. Okay, those of you who don't know, we'll have the website, and you'll be able to just take it from there. It'll be much easier. Okay, so Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, it says that no one ever greeted him before he greeted them. He always greeted someone else first. I remember there was a rabbi when I grew up in Monsey. We learned this in school, and he was a rabbi who personified this trait. He was hunched over. I don't know if he's even alive. He was a great man, a very pious Jew. And he was hunched over, and his eyes were like this. He would be able to see you like from 30, 40 feet away. And he would see you, he'd be like, Good Shabbos, right? He would say Good Shabbos to you, and you couldn't say Good Shabbos before him. It was impossible, right? He always greeted everyone before they greeted him. It's a great thing. Hey, how are you? What are you waiting for someone else to say hello? You be the one to say it, right? Because Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai understood that every person wants to be greeted. Every person wants to feel, right, dignified. And when he went out and went to greet them, they felt, he cares about me. He loves me. It says about Yaakov and Esav, the two brothers, arch enemies. What did Yaakov say to his brother? He says, Ko amar avdecha Yaakov. So said your servant. Right? He knew that his brother has a little bit of an issue with an inferiority complex. Right? So he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to humble myself. Your servant, Jacob, he's servant, your little brother, right? Your little brother who outsmarted you 10 times over. Right? That same one. No, that's not the way he approached him. He said, your servant, Yaakov. Right? Give him the honor. Let him feel, he's putting himself down for me. See, I am something. And then Many times, when people are very, very emphatic about something, they're principled about something, and they're not going to let up. They're very stubborn about something. Many, many times, they just need the proper respect, the proper dignity. You know, you have a stubborn cashier, right? You know the great disarming of a stubborn cashier? Their name tag. Right? Just use their name. Right? Talk to them. Right? You know, I know. Use their name. Talk to them. Right? It disarms people.
Yeah. This could have been a defensive measure by Jacob.
No question. But to say I'm your servant, it's right. Say just tell us, because he wanted to give proper honor, because that's what his brother needed. He understood what his brother needed. He needed respect. He needed honor. That's what he gave him.
Did the same thing when they came with his horses and guys.
Right, with everybody else. Right. So we see Rachel and Leah, the two sisters. What did Rachel do for her sister Leah?
Yeah.
Right? She
She
gave her away the codes. You know why? The only reason she gave her the codes. That's it. You imagine this. Jacob had to work for 7 years to get Rachel's hand in marriage from her shyster father, right? And she knew that by giving away the codes, she's giving away her entire future. She's giving away her husband. She's giving away the tribes. Because what lunatic would work for the same guy another 7 years for the other daughter? She was assuming that this was over and she's lost the rest of her life. But she was not willing to see her sister walk down that chuppah, be asked by Jacob for those codes, not know the codes, be shamed and embarrassed that, hey, you're trying to scam me? I knew you were going to do this. Rachel, what's the codes? Rachel knew the codes, and he was going to marry Rachel. For his sister not to be embarrassed, she was ready to give up everything.
But she may have also had enough faith in Jacob to know that he wouldn't do it for her.
We don't know that. She didn't know that, right? She didn't know that. Again, it's not working for a regular guy. Oh, you know what? I'm going to delay retirement for another 7 years. No, he wasn't working for himself. He's working for her father, who she knew was a trickster, who she knew wasn't exactly the most upright citizen. And yet Rachel was ready to give away her entire future just so that her sister won't face that shame and embarrassment. And she gives away the codes. Our sages tell us that in that merit, the Jewish people will receive the final redemption.
Amen.
In Rachel's merit, right? And that's what the prophet says, that God says, Kol mivakal banel. Right? There was a voice that's crying for her children. And what does God say? Min I kolech mi bechi ve'enaich min dima. You can halt your voice from crying and your eyes from tears. Ki yesh sachar lepe'ulatech, because there's a tremendous reward for your actions. Vishavu banim gvulam, because your children will come back to their borders in your merit. Because of what you did, you so selflessly were ready to give up everything just so that your sister not be embarrassed for her dignity.
Is that why she's buried by herself?
Yes. It says she wanted to be buried there. You know why? Because she said, I know that the Jewish people, she saw in prophecy, the Jewish people are going to be expelled from Jerusalem. On their way out to Babylon, they're going to pass by her for her gravesite. They'll be able to pray there. They should know your mother's with you. She's on the way. Right? That's why. It's another amazing foresight that she had. We see her sister, Leah. It says that she cried not to have the seventh tribe, to not embarrass her sister Rachel. Because we see that Leah had 6 children. of the 12 tribes that were prophesied to be. It says that Leah cried so that she shouldn't have the 7th. That her sister Rachel shouldn't have less than the concubines. Right? The concubines have 2. At least she should have 2. She shouldn't have less than them. Don't let me have a 7th. She shouldn't have less than her servants. That's the Tanchuma says this. Yosef didn't want to embarrass his brothers and sent everyone out of the room. Right? Why? Again, respect, dignity. Show respect for someone else. He understood. It says that he when he revealed himself, it said that he revealed himself. He couldn't handle anymore. What couldn't he handle? What, the surprise, the suspense? No. Say our sages, he couldn't see his brothers be humiliated like this anymore. He couldn't handle it. The way they felt, he felt that pain for them. To understand what honor is, to understand what dignity is for someone else. He couldn't see them be so humiliated. He said, I have to, everybody out of the room. I got to talk to them myself. And that was at great risk because these were big kids. Right? The children of Jacob, Judah, we know, stood up to Joseph, right? Judah stood up to Joseph. And he was talking harsh words. So what did Joseph do? Joseph gave a nod to one of his children. Manasseh or Ephraim, I'm not sure which one it was. It says that he gave a kick to the wall, and the whole building of the palace right, shook. So Judah saw that strength, and he backed off. Because I saw this written, that he was a little confused. Because such strength was only bestowed on the children of Jacob. And said to have such strength that a kick can shake the whole palace.
The children of Joseph?
Jacob. Joseph was a child of Jacob, and his children had that same strength.
Okay.
So he knew that this person, something is there. He said, he changed his tone completely. He changed his tone. He says, there has to be something different here. So he went on a much calmer voice to Judah. Approached him in a much more delicate way. It says, Aaron speaks to his younger brother Moshe with great honor. Be Adoni, please my master. It's his youngest brother. The younger brother. Like what? Be Adoni. You have to know your place. Every person needs to know their place. Another thing that our sages tell us is never to cut into our friends' words. Someone's saying something, don't cut them off. We don't like to be cut off. We don't like when people, distract us. We're in the middle of saying something and someone else, sticks their 2 cents in. We have to be very, very careful not to do that to other people. All right? So, just to quickly summarize what we said, Kavod, honor, is we're living in a world of values. Everything has a value determined by the price you pay for it. Human beings, the value of human beings is the honor that you bestow upon them. Also by the honor by which they carry themselves. The more dignified a person carries themselves, the more value they have. Right? Which is, in a way, it's like, there's an entire culture. There was actually a song a funny song about, people who walk with their pants sagging down, right? Right? Certain cultures. There's something about that. What is that? It's a style? It's more than just a style. I think it's a lack of dignity. A lack of self-worth. It's a sad thing. It's not a funny thing. It's a sad thing. We shouldn't laugh at it. Right? It's a very sad thing that they don't feel enough self-worth. I have a friend of mine who wasn't doing so well in business. So he came to me once to ask me why am I not doing so well. I said, can you stop for a second? So I said to him, I want you to look in the mirror. Okay. Looked in the mirror. He said, what's the matter? What do you want me to see? I say, if you were hiring someone for the same job that you represent, is this the type of guy you'd be looking for? He said, no. I said, so why should someone else hire you? If you don't carry yourself in the way that you, right? You wouldn't look for someone, imagine, a doctor, right? Would you would you want, not saying that they're not capable, right? But would you want to go to a doctor who's wearing his golf outfit, right? You know, it's like he's wearing his shorts and he's wearing his polo shirt, right? Is that what you want in your doctor? Maybe outside of the office, but in the office you'd expect them to wear proper clothes, right? An attorney, right? You go to an attorney, you expect them to wear a suit and tie, right? Right? You see there are certain things, certain people, a rabbi, a judge, right? You expect them to carry themselves a certain way. And if they don't, there's just like this contradiction. It just doesn't make sense, right? We want to make sure that we, number one, understand the great value that we have within ourselves, the potential that we have within ourselves, the incredible spiritual soul that God bestowed with us with, the amazingly holy soul that we have.
How does somebody tap into those features
within ourselves?
In themselves.
Oh, so that's what we have Mussar for. That's exactly what we have Mussar for, right? And what we're doing is going through each one of these traits, and suddenly, hopefully, through every week, and you have one of these sheets, which we're gonna turn off the recording in a minute. But hopefully you have one of these, and you can start evaluating. You start seeing, 1 second, I have some really good qualities here. And look at this. I'm better than I thought I was, right? Hopefully we're able to see, and that's why we're focusing a lot on positive traits. We haven't gotten yet to negative traits. I don't want to focus too much on negative traits. I want to focus on the positive traits, because the positive traits are really, really important. Because if we don't have our positive traits, there's no way in the world we'll ever be able to help ourselves. We have to first know our positive traits. Then we can get onto our negative traits. But to know you are a person, a human being of tremendous, tremendous value. Don't sell yourself cheap. Don't underestimate your abilities. Don't underestimate your strength and what you can accomplish. All right? Any questions? All right, so all of our friends on Facebook, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to sign off here. We're looking forward to seeing you next week at Mussar Mondays, 7:30 at the Torch Center. You're welcome to join us here. Have a magnificent evening. Thank you so much.